Tolkien's legendary, complex epic into a movie. Well, we spoke to this extraordinary New Zealander at his office in Wellington. Why do I feel we're not alone?
I don't know. I guess we better talk in a quiet voice in case somebody hears us.
This is your office, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not normally decked out this way, just to spoil the illusion. It's but these are a lot of the props and the masks and things that we've used in the movie.
Well, in front of you, you've got a quiver of arrows, beautifully made. The arrow's beautifully made. Also, a sword. Hold the sword up here and show us and give us an idea of the weight of that.
Well, it's heavy. It weighs as much as, I don't know, 3 or 4 pounds, I guess. It's
or even heavier, perhaps.
Even heavier,
but it's beautifully crafted. It's inlaid with brass and elvish writing.
Yes, there's little bits and pieces.
Are all the props like that?
Yeah. The reason why we put so much detail into them is we wanted the Lord of the Rings to somehow cross this like an invisible threshold from being a movie, art-directed, artificial kind of thing that you see on the screen and crossing into being a real world.
Where did you get off, Peter Jackson? Where did you get it into your head that you, from Wellington, New Zealand, with a modest film portfolio, probably by world standards, could go to Hollywood, propose 3 pictures to be made at once, blockbuster pictures of one of the most famous novels of the century, and pull $600 million out of Hollywood and make that here?
I don't know. I mean, if you put it that way, it's impossible. It would honestly never have actually happened. If anybody had ever rationalised it like that, it wouldn't have occurred.
Do you remember when you first thought Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, I was lying in bed on a Sunday morning, about 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning, and I definitely wanted to make another film in New Zealand after The Frighteners, and I wanted to make a fantasy film, because when I was a kid, I always loved the films of Ray Harryhausen, who was a stop-motion animator, did Jason and the Argonauts, Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, and I loved those movies when I was a kid. I loved the fantasy, the escapism, and I always thought it would be great to make one of those types of films using modern technology. We thought we'd write an original one, and we kept talking about how it has to be like The Lord of the Rings. It's got to be a Lord of the Rings type of movie. And there was enough of those conversations took place that we finally decided to pick up the phone and see whether the rights to The Lord of the Rings itself was available.
And, of course, you assume they're gone.
Well, it's such a big title, you would think it's with Spielberg or with Disney, George Lucas. I mean, you just think it was locked in somebody's safe, or the other option was we thought, you know, we'd be told, oh, yes, that's being written right now and they're about to start shooting it next year, because you always sort of find out those things too. So we really had no great hope. But we made the phone call, and we were told that they were with a producer called Saul Zaentz.
Who'd done nothing with them for 25 years.
Done nothing. Didn't actually like the idea of a film being made. Didn't think it was possible.
Were you thinking at this point of 1 film or 3? When did 3 come into your head?
3 came into our head at the beginning, but our first conversations were with Miramax about the concept of making the film at all, and they almost, in the first conversation, shut down the idea of doing 3 back-to-back. And so we went around Hollywood, and almost every studio turned us down at that point. And we eventually ended up at New Line Cinema. And this was almost like our last port of call. We'd just about been turned down by everybody else. Bob Shea at New Line said to us, he saw our presentation, and he turned around, and the very first inkling we had that our luck had changed, because we really thought this was the end of the project, was when he said, well, I don't get it. And we thought, oh, no, this is it. You know, we're going to get thrown out of his office. And he said, I don't get why you'd be wanting to make 2 films when it's 3 books. Shouldn't it be 3 films? And at that point, it was like salvation had sort of, you know, arrived.
Was he thinking at that time, though, you make 3 simultaneously?
Oh, yeah, that was the plan. It was...
No one had ever done that?
No, I don't think they ever will again, to be completely honest.
Would you do it again?
No.
The cast. You suddenly find that you're acting with people like Liv Tyler, young beauties like Liv Tyler, and great Shakespearean actors, knights of the stage, Serene McKellen, Sirian Holm. Intimidating?
No, not once you get to know them. I mean, the most intimidating thing is when you meet, you know, someone like Ian McKellen for the first time. And we were in London, and he invited us round to his flat because, you know, he was interested in the movie, and we were interested in talking to him, obviously, about playing Gandalf. And he said, oh, we'll come round and meet. And that's intimidating because he's a total stranger. You're certainly a little bit frightened. But, you know, when you see Ian in his flat in his home environment. He's just such a great character. You know, he had a cigarette and he couldn't his box of matches are gone, so he bent down, he lit the stove, and he was trying to light a cigarette off the stove. You know, and it's sort of, you see them as human beings, and he's got a great sense of humour. And so beyond that first meeting, we just knew he was a really nice guy, and as you do, I mean, all of our actors were really nice.
Because he plays Gandalf.
Yes.
And because there's a problem for you straight at the start, I suppose, from a marketing point of view, because everybody around the world has an idea of Gandalf.
They are coming.
Everyone's got a picture of Gandalf. You had an idea. Was your idea similar to McKellen's?
Yeah, we based Gandalf on J.R.R. Tolkien. That we had a videotape which had some interview material of Tolkien himself from the 60s. And, you know, he was this sort of crusty old bugger who sort of spoke like that. He was very short-tempered, and he was talking like this. And we were watching that with Ian, and we just said, this is Gandalf. Obviously, Tolkien was really describing himself. And so Ian McKellen actually impersonated Tolkien's voice and playing the character. When you hear Gandalf talking in the movie, it's Ian doing a Tolkien impersonation.
Did you ever feel Tolkien over your shoulder? Did you ever sort of think, I wonder what the old bugger, the crusty old bugger, would think of this?
Oh, sure, I certainly wondered that.
Would he like the film?
It's a very difficult question. I would hope he'd like the film, I guess, is the only answer I can give you. I think he was, you know, having spent his lifetime essentially working on the mythology of Middle-earth, I think he would probably find it hard to accept changes that we made or things that weren't exactly like he wrote. But I would hope that he would feel as if he'd been taken to Middle-earth.
Your mum died recently. How long ago did she die?
About a month ago.
You've said in the past that you would like to make a movie your mum and dad would like.
Yes.
Would they like this?
I'm sure they would. I'm sure they would. Yeah.
Would Mum be proud of this?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. She was extremely proud. I mean, that was one of the really nice things, is that it meant a lot to me. I mean, it always meant, I think, you know, I like it so much when people are proud. I like it so much when people enjoy the films that I made. You know, it's nice to be able to feel that. I feel that more than I do with my own stuff, you know, because I don't particularly think I've got much of an ego or a desire for any of the trappings of being a filmmaker. I just like making films that people enjoy.